welcome back to the channel. It's a beautiful, sunny, very windy day today here in eastern North Carolina. So if you pick up a lot of wind noise on the microphone, I do apologize. It is windy and I cannot control Mother Nature. So today, I really had no plan going into today's video. I was hoping to show you more of the greenhouse assembly, but I'm having some problems with the greenhouse base, trying to get it perfectly square. Some of my measurements are slightly off, and if the base isn't perfectly square, then when I go to assemble the rest of it, it's going to be out of whack, out of kilter, and I may have problems putting in, especially like the glass that's going on the sidewalls. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon. So this way, when I do post up a video about the greenhouse, because there will be a video upcoming about the greenhouse, you will then be able to follow along and see how it's going. And that's about all I got to say about that. Today, though, I'm going to try, well, hopefully you already saw the flowers that I put in the beginning of this video. There's all sorts of stuff that's starting to come up. The potting table here is full of all sorts of stuff that was planted out, mostly as bare root. Some of it was planted out as maybe cuttings or something. I have so much stuff here, it's a little tricky to go over. But like right in front of me here, I have a peony. That was a bare root. That's doing lovely. It survived the winter. It's pretty cold hardy apparently. And that's growing well. I'm gonna have to plant that in the ground probably in the next month or so. It's getting so big, which then means I have to get my flower beds rocking and rolling. And I really don't have my flower beds going yet. Not the ones where I wanna build the flower garden. I have to order some, I think I'm gonna get some landscaping timbers to do the dahlia area. I have to then fill the dahlia area with cardboard and soil and all that good stuff. If you've seen me do anything with my flower beds or any of the plantings that I've done last year, or if you haven't seen that, I should say, go back, watch last year's videos. If you want, they're all in, I created a playlist called 2021, so they should all be in there. I have a series going for the rose garden. I will create a playlist if I haven't already for that. The rose garden is still growing. I have 2 David Austin roses coming next Tuesday, I believe. I think that's like March 1st or 2nd. And I will be doing what I did last year, putting them temporarily into grow bags filled with soil, just to let them, because they come as bare roots, and you have to keep the roots moist, and you don't want to basically keep them in a tub of water for a period of time. So I will be putting it in grow bags temporarily, probably for about a month this time, as opposed to several months, which I did last year. The rose garden is coming along. I need to prepare the next area for the one bush that I got, and then I have to get an arbor for the climbing rose that I'm getting. Now, I asked you guys if I should do a rose tunnel or a rose, just a rose arbor at the entrance. Nobody replied. So I think I'm just gonna do an arbor. I'm gonna try to get something that's 8 foot across. I don't think I'll be able to. It'll probably be more like 6 to 7 feet, but because I really kind of wanted the opening to be 8 foot, but beggars can't be choosers, so I will take what I can get. But I'll be hopefully planting that rose once I get the arbor out, probably April, May. So, well, again, we'll have to see. You have to hit that subscribe button and follow along. I'm just looking now behind the camera, and I still have some pieces of crate left over from the greenhouse. It came in 3 crates, and had to take it all apart and dismantle it and unpack and do whatever. And again, when I do the video on the greenhouse, I'll fill you in all the gory details about that. So I have the rose bushes coming. Things are starting to wake up. They're starting to go down here again. Growing zone 8A, eastern North Carolina. Now this is what I've called, and I've actually just recently heard another YouTuber, Roots and Refuge, call a false spring. It's not springtime yet. In growing zone 8A, in my area, I googled, and it looks like the possible last frost date is around April 1st. This is a guess, and again, it's not, nothing's set in stone, so we have to watch the weather. And yeah, again, we could get a freeze on April 2nd, and that, of course, will impact things, obviously. But For the immediate near forecast, all the temperatures I think are getting, sorry, I got stuff in my eye here. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had stuff in my eye, the wind was blowing. Anyways, so we're still, even though it's very warm today, I think it's about to get 76, maybe 80. But tomorrow's gonna be like 50 or 60, one of those two. It's gonna be cooler, much cooler. The nighttime temps will drop down into the mid 30s, maybe high 30s. So again, we're not in spring yet. So this is just a false spring, as it were. That being said, things need to start ramping up. I need to start finishing some of the bigger projects that I wanted to get done during the winter. When it was cool out and I could work without having heat stroke. Which means I'd have to get those flower beds rocking and rolling. I have to get the greenhouse built. I have to get some of these other projects done, the bigger projects. And then this way, once spring comes, I can then do all the smaller things that take less effort, energy, and hopefully I won't have heat stroke doing when the temperatures get up to the 90s, probably by June, July. Definitely by July, maybe June. We'll have to see how this year goes. So today, along with all this prattling I've been doing, I'm going to be planting out some tomatoes. Now, last year I had great expectations for my tomatoes, and in previous years, as I've been gardening, I had no problems growing tomatoes in Long Island, where I lived in Long Island. I had no problems growing tomatoes, no real bug pressure. It was wonderful. And life was great. Last year, long-legged leaf bug and squash bugs. So if you garden anywhere in the South, you're familiar with those bugs, please leave a comment below. How do you deal with them? Because I'm finding them to be the biggest problems. Now, they don't attack the plant, they attack the fruit. So they go after the tomatoes and they start puncturing holes in the tomato skins, and they drink out the tomato juice, and the tomato doesn't shrivel up, but now it's got a wound, and that wound starts to rot, and then you go into both a squishy, ill, sick fruit. Just nobody wants to eat that. So how do you guys deal with the long-legged leaf bug and squash bugs? Those two in particular I find very annoying. I'm gonna try this year to do some companion planting, particularly sunflowers, which apparently the long-legged leaf bug loves. So I'll be planting the sunflowers nearby. Hopefully that keeps all of the bugs off of the tomatoes, and maybe I get some good tomatoes this year. That being said, I'm going to plant 4 different varieties. The first one is going to be a Bing cherry. I did that last year. I got maybe 2 or 3 tomatoes off of that, and I'm not sure why, but I'll try again. Rutgers tomato, I think I got a few tomatoes off of that, maybe 1 or 2 that the bugs didn't destroy. Mortgage lifter, that one seemed to be a particular favorite. I also had the most variety. I believe I had 4 plants of that. And the last one is one that I picked up from a catalog that said it does well in the South, San Vicente hybrid. I'm going to give it a whirl, see what happens. If they do well, if I get tomatoes that the bugs don't destroy, that'll be great. Again, I'm going to do the companion planting, maybe some zinnias nearby, anything to try to keep the bugs off of the plants, or minimal impact from the bugs, and then again, hopefully healthy and happy tomatoes. Now, you may have also seen, depending upon how I edit this, I made my own seed starting mix. So this year I'm trying not to spend the gobs of money that I spent last year trying to establish the garden. You know, I spent money on fencing, fence posts, the metal raised beds, the wood raised beds, the massive amounts of soil and compost used to fill those. The list goes on and on and on of, you know, the money that was spent trying to establish the garden. Now that the garden is becoming more established, I'm trying to reduce those costs. But one of the things that I didn't realize last year, because I just instinctively sort of did it, and I've been doing it since I started gardening, was I go to Gardener's Supply and I buy bags of seed starting mix. But more importantly is the cost. And the cost can range, I think, from $10 to $15 per bag. And if you're buying, I think last year I bought maybe close to 10 bags, that's quite a bit of money. Then I got to thinking, well, what if I made my own? Because I was watching Gardener's World, and Monty was making his own using his own compost that he had sieved. Well, my compost, if you watched an earlier video where I did some seed starting, I did do something like that, but that compost has a lot of weed seeds and grass seeds in it, which weren't cooked off in the composting process. So now I'm in the process of those, in some of those trays, of plucking out the weeds. So it's not necessarily convenient. Then I thought to myself, well, I have bags of compost that I've purchased. It's not high quality compost. It's like a $2 bag of compost, $3 bag of compost. But I thought, well, what if I take that compost, sieve it, so I get all the wood chunks and the other bits of heavy material out. Maybe there's little globs of clay I don't want. Get all that out. Mix in some coir and maybe some vermiculite and perlite. Mix all that in, make a nice light fluffy mix that I can then plant into. So that's what I did. The biggest negative to that whole process is the fact that it's time consuming with the sifting. It can take anywhere from a half hour to an hour depending upon how much you're making. So again, I could probably come up with, or maybe somebody out on the interwebs has come up with a better, or maybe, you know, a better sifter, as it were. But I sift by hand for now. It works. The only downside is time consuming. So I can understand why people turn around and buy bags and bags and bags of seed starting mix, because it's convenient. All the hard work is already done for you, and in a sense that's what you're paying for, is somebody who have done all that hard work. But I thought I'd try to save myself a few bucks. Use the perlite that I have. Perlite's relatively inexpensive. Get some vermiculite, and then mix in that just the sieved compost that I have in with that. You can make, and I think with that, as if you make your own compost that way, I think you can control your mixtures too. You can add in more compost, less compost, more coir. If you're interested, or if you think you'd be interested or want to hear a debate about coir versus peat, then please leave a comment below and I'll make a video about it and discuss maybe some pros and cons. I'll do some homework and maybe I can come up with some statistics or information, whatever. But so I have my seed starting mix, I have my seeds. Let's get to planting. Oh, and also never forget your labels, because then you won't remember what you planted where. Okay, so the tomatoes are all planted up, thoroughly watered. They'll go inside the garage on the seed starting rack that I have, under lights, heat mats. They'll be fine for the next month or so, and then probably in April, mid to late April, maybe May, depending upon how big they are and what the weather's like, then I'll plant them out into the veg garden. Now let's go take a look at something else. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plant up some ranunculus. I've never grown ranunculus before, ever. I've only been gardening a short time, though I do like the flowers. My wife picked me up this bag. I don't know where she got it from, but it's Mard Ross and Company, marderross.com. I'll put the thing here. But they're 12 pink ranunculus, pink French peony ranunculus. If you don't know what a ranunculus is, I'll try to post a picture over here. And it all starts from something that looks like this. I can get that into focus. So this little spidery looking rooty thing apparently produces a larger plant. It's amazing what nature does sometimes with, you start something from a seed that's so small and then you get something so large. I'm going to try to grow these ranunculus. The first step apparently is to soak them in water for about an hour. So I have a bowl right here, and I'm going to drop these guys into the water. Should be 12 of them. What I'm also going to do is look at them. Now they've been kept in a cool, dark place, my office, and just looking to make sure I don't see anything horribly wrong with them. Mold, moss, that kind of mold, mildew. They actually all look pretty good. They just look like little dried bits and pieces. So I'm dropping them all into this bowl of water here. Some of them look a little broken up, which could have been from the shipping and handling. But they're in the water. We'll wait 1 hour, and we'll come back and we'll plant them up. Okay, we're back. It's still very windy out, but it's a little later in the afternoon, and I've soaked the ranunculus now for a period of time. They do look, I don't know if that'll focus, maybe. There you go. They do look a little plumper, which is what's supposed to happen. Now, I was reading the internet, on the interwebs there, as I was soaking the ranunculus, and apparently the one thing I read said an hour, another thing I read said up to 3 hours, but no more. You risk rotting the ranunculus themselves. So I think we're about an hour 20 minutes or so. I think that's good enough. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn around and take the ranunculus, put them in each pot, then cover them up. And apparently, unlike a dahlia, which you really don't bury that deep, ranunculus you can bury up to like 2 feet deep. So who knew? I don't know. It's the first time, like I said, doing this. So I'm going to drop these into the pots here and cover them up, and then we'll go from there. So there you go, planted up the ranunculus. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon and be notified when I do post a new video. Some of you may have gotten unsubscribed, so then that may be because you cleared your internet cache. Please make sure that bell icon's clicked, this way you don't miss another exciting video. These videos aren't excited, I know that. Sorry about that. But you know, let's if you subscribe and hit the bell icon, then when I post up a video about the ranunculus, whether they survived or died, or you'll be able to find out what happened to them in the upcoming weeks. I have dahlias which I need to basically start taking out of their boxes and check their status. Have they all shriveled up and rotted on me? Have they gotten moldy on me? That's upcoming. The greenhouse, of course, is a big project that hopefully will be done in a week or two, maybe. Don't know. We'll have, again, you'll have to tune in to make sure to find out what happens with that. Things are starting to come alive, but again, we're not at spring yet. Spring is coming though, and there are things that need to get done before spring gets here. So let me know what you're doing in your gardens. I'm kind of interested to know. I know I watch a bunch of different YouTube garden shows from all across the country, as far north as Wisconsin, as far west as Oregon, as far east as England. So but again, if you have a YouTube channel you'd like to share with me, please leave that in the comments below. It's always interesting to see what other gardeners are doing, or how they're going about it, or why they're doing it, or what growing zones they're in, or what can they grow that I can't grow, all that good kind of stuff. So again, feel free to leave a comment below. I've only mentioned this whole subscribing thing a bunch of times. You can follow me over on Instagram. Check out all the links below. I think that's about it for today. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.